Like so many things in Las Vegas, it sounded like a great idea at the time.
October 8th, Allegiant Stadium. We're back, baby.
But the first 2 weeks of September were like a giant hangover for Notre Dame, wearing the tattoos of losses from Ohio State and Marshall.
So let's meet Drew Pine.
Fortunately, the last 2 weeks have eliminated some of the headaches, especially on the offensive side of the ball, where a man named Pine has come off the pine to win hearts and games.
When he's in the huddle, he's in charge, and we told him that, and he knows that, and he embraces it.
Now the calendar turns to October and the next big test. Not Mike Tyson's Tiger, but a team of Cougars from BYU. And these cats from Provo would like nothing better than to prove their number 16 ranking is no fluke.
I think it's huge. I think, this program over the last couple of years has proven that it's on the rise. And
the Irish rolled the dice, gambling they could handle the bright lights and big stage of Sin City. By the end of the night, is this where the honeymoon ends? Or will Irish fans be singing Viva Las Vegas? The answer is 1 hour away, and the countdown starts now.
Live from the WNDU Studios and Las Vegas, Nevada, this is 16 News Now's Countdown to Kickoff.
Welcome to WNDU's Countdown to Kickoff. I'm Drew Sanders.
And I'm WHMU Sports Director Chuck Freeby. Thanks for joining us tonight.
While tonight's game lists the Irish as the home team, the boys in blue and gold have traveled over 1,800 miles to play at Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Irish fans feeling a little more optimistic since the last Countdown show we aired 3 weeks ago, and the reason is simple. They're winning. The Irish erupted for 35 first downs, 576 yards of offense, and a methodical 45-32 win over North Carolina 2 weeks ago. After what's become a typical slow first quarter start, the offense exploded for 38 points in the middle two stanzas, creating a comfortable cushion that could survive a late comeback by the Tar Heels. Balance was the key. The Irish not only had 289 passing yards and 3 touchdowns from Drew Pine, but all 3 of the running backs went over 100 yards of total offense, with Audric Estime grinding out 134 rushing yards. While it wasn't a full 60-minute effort, it is the most complete performance we've seen from Marcus Freeman's squad so far.
You know what, I try to tell the team all the time that when things go bad, it's bad play calling. When things go well, it's great play calling, right? That's the reality of things. And that, I believe in the game Tommy Rees has called from Ohio State to Marshall to Cal, and now we were able to execute that.
I think, winning's always great. And, I think we, focus all week on execution, and Coach, Freeman and Coach Rees both focused on that. And our offense went out there and executed. We scored on a lot of drives, and that all starts with our O-linemen.
And Drew, as Marcus Freeman just alluded to, the improvement is not just for the offense.
Yeah, Chuck, that run defense is really going to be a key for the team going forward. Remember, earlier in the season, we saw this Irish squad gashed for big runs. In the last 2 games, the Irish have held their foes to an average of 89 rushing yards per game and just 3 yards per carry. It's part of a concerted effort by new defensive line coach Al Washington, who is proud of the progress his group has made in the last 3 weeks.
Starting point always starts with the fundamentals, like tackling. It sounds simple, but like if you can block the struck, you can leverage the ball, and you can tackle, you'll be successful. I think when we weren't successful, it's because we didn't do those things.
Now, the excitement surrounding this year's Shamrock Series game started before the season even began with that memorable hangover parody video featuring Michael Mayer, Isaiah Foskey, and Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, the wait for this year's game is finally over, though. Our Matt Loch has more from Vegas on the hype just an hour before kickoff.
Well, walking up and down the Las Vegas Strip last night, all you heard were chants of "Let's go Irish" and green and navy blue everywhere you looked. I mean, this is certainly a Notre Dame home game. And there was also a closed pep rally at the New York Casino. And not only was it packed inside, but there were people lined up on the street trying to climb fences. The fans here are fired up. And the feeling is the same for the Irish, who will get to play a home game hundreds of miles from South Bend in front of a friendly crowd in a state-of-the-art NFL stadium. Marcus Freeman talked about the excitement of the Shamrock Series earlier this week.
The Shamrock Series is what makes Notre Dame unique. It's one of our distinctions, and the chance to go and play a home game in Las Vegas extremely exciting opportunity versus a really good opponent. And so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be cool. It's my first time in Vegas, so I'm excited. It's like the stadium's brand new, so it's gonna be cool. Like, here it looks like the Death Star, so I'm like, that'll be pretty cool.
Well, if you're going to be in a flashy city like Las Vegas, you got to be wearing some flashy uniforms. I'll be back in just a little bit to talk about what both teams are going to be wearing and how they unveiled them on social media. For now, I'll send it back to you.
While the excitement is there for the Irish as they play their first game ever in Vegas, the Cougars present Notre Dame a real challenge heading into tonight's kickoff. Only one opponent Notre Dame has faced was ranked higher than BYU going into the Shamrock Series. That's when Syracuse was ranked 12th in 2018, and the Irish dominated that game from start to finish at Yankee Stadium, winning by a final score of 36-3. BYU has played some real teams, though, through the first 5 weeks of the season, beating 9th-ranked Baylor 26-20 in Provo. But the Cougars also were very beatable playing Oregon, losing on the road 41-20. Since that loss, they have racked up back-to-back wins against Wyoming and Utah State. They're led by quarterback Jaron Hall, who has thrown 12 touchdowns to just 1 interception. Christopher Brooks in the running attack and Keanu Hill at wide receiver, each with 4 touchdowns.
I mean, they got a good quarterback. They got a lot of good weapons that they can score in a hurry. So we just got to play good defense and try to create turnovers.
Drew, BYU's coming off a 10-win season, looking for their 5th win today. What makes BYU a difficult matchup for the Irish?
Well, I think the main guy that's going to present problems for Notre Dame this week is a name you just said a moment ago, quarterback Jaron Hall. Coming into this weekend, he's top 20 in the country in passing yards. And as you mentioned, just 1 pick coming into this game as well. That's something we've been concerned about with the Irish, right? Can they generate turnovers? The secondary has been toying with different combinations of guys on the back end, partially due to injury, giving major playing time to freshmen as well. Jaron Hall is 24. This is his 5th year around college football. Notre Dame's going to have to try to rattle his cage a little bit, prioritize getting pressure on him, because letting the veteran QB sit back with time to dice up your defense, it's just not a gamble I'd be willing to make.
You're covering people older than you. People go to Vegas to win money and to see a great show, and the Irish can take care of both of these for their fans with a good performance here tonight. Speaking of Vegas, that's part of the topic of today's Lock Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll up right now on WNDU.com. Vegas, the site for this year's Shamrock Series game. Where would you like to see the game played in the future? Your choices: Washington, D.C., Honolulu, Hawaii, Rome, Italy, or somewhere else. Make your voice heard. Cast your vote right now on WNDU.com. That poll remains open until 7 o'clock Eastern Time. After the break, an injury to Tyler Buckner has given Drew Pine a chance to shine as the starter at quarterback for the Irish. How's he helped resurrect this offense as they look to make it 3 straight wins tonight under the lights? And it's time for our first Chrisman custom painting trivia question of the evening. We want to know if you remember who Notre Dame played in the first Shamrock Series game and where they played. The answer when the countdown returns in 2 minutes.
Here is your Crispin Custom Painting trivia answer.
The Shamrock Series made its debut in 2009 as Notre Dame took all the trappings of home to San Antonio, Texas, and the Alamo Dome to face Washington State. The Irish dominated this one from start to finish. Golden Tate wound up scoring a pair of touchdowns, first on a 15-yard run, and then on a miraculous grab of a Jimmy Clausen Hail Mary pass to end the first half. Even though there were no special uniforms then, the Irish started a new tradition with a 40-14 win.
Now this season, the Irish are 2-2 so far, but they're undefeated in games that Drew Pine starts under center. Now losing starting quarterback Tyler Buckner to injury could have spelled disaster for this team early in the season, but have they hit the jackpot with their new QB1? Let's take a look. A summer quarterback competition saw Drew Pine fall short of a starting job. But when the news broke back in August, his offensive coordinator made sure to note how important Pine still was.
This program needs Drew Pine. I mean, there is zero doubt in my mind. I don't know when, how, why, where, but this program needs him right now, and this program is going to need him moving forward.
Turns out, the OC was right, and while it wasn't pretty in the beginning,
and he hears it from Tommy Reese, and Tommy's just saying, hey, do your job.
Drew Pine has done his job, guiding the Fighting Irish to 2 victories in his first 2 starts.
Touchdown, Michael Mayer. Notre Dame takes the lead.
When you hear him talk about his teammates, it's hard not to root for the guy.
You know, I'm not here for, personal accolades or stats or anything. I'm here to help do whatever I can to help my team win. And I'm playing for all those guys on the team that have taken me in ever since I got here.
I love how they set the quarterback lockers next to the O-line lockers in the locker room now. He's just a great guy, and he has that ultra confidence now, and when he's in the huddle, he's in charge, and we told him that, and he knows that, and he embraces it.
And the main coach in his corner is still singing his praises this week.
He's taken extreme ownership of the position he's in, which doesn't catch me off guard. That's like we've talked about how Drew is. There's nothing that we've asked him to do that he's shied away from. He's handled all things that come with being the quarterback at Notre Dame at an extremely high level, and he'll continue to do so.
Now, Chuck, for as honestly bad as the offense looked for the first few games for Notre Dame, how has Drew Pine helped resurrect it?
So, as Drew showed you in that video from the Cal game of Tommy Reese telling Drew Pine, and we'll edit it here so we can keep our FCC license, do your job! Well, Pine has taken that to heart. Since Tommy's, shall we say, pep talk, Drew Pine is 38 of 49 throwing the ball for 406 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Wow. But let's not lose sight that his 6 great quarters of football coincides with the rejuvenation of the Irish running game. In those 6 quarters, Notre Dame has 73 carries for 388 yards, and that's more than 5 yards per carry. So certainly in the case of Pine and the Irish, the success in the running game opens up the passing game, which is why play-action passes for Pine have been so effective. But I want to give Pine credit for this, Drew. Those short passes, especially to the running backs, he has been extremely accurate, hitting guys in stride, and that leads to yards after the catch, which is necessary for this offense to be efficient.
Yeah, and the skill guys around Drew Pine are skilled, for a lack of a better term. It's not like he's out there just making chicken salad. The 3-headed monster in the backfield of Estime, Diggs, and Tyree pretty much guarantees you've got a fresh set of legs behind you at all times. That running threat helps keep the offense unpredictable, as you mentioned. And not to mention, you've got an All-American tight end working his magic, and Pine seems to be rather fond of him. He's tossed a touchdown to Michael Mayer in each of the last 3 games. That, of course, includes the Marshall game where Pine took over for an injured Tyler Buckner late in the 4th quarter. As long as Pine can consistently get the ball into the hands of his playmakers, which we have seen, I like his chances.
If you're not throwing to Michael Mayer, you've got issues if you're a quarterback.
Fair enough.
After the break, Tim Priester and Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated joined the show. Is it time to believe in the offense again, or are they still skeptical? Find out when the countdown rolls on in 2 minutes. Back in on the countdown. We're about 45 minutes away from kickoff between BYU and Notre Dame right here on WNDU. The Irish hoping Vegas can be their little good luck charm as the program looks to jump over 500 for the year. Andrew, the big question going into this game is how that Irish offense will follow up their dominant performance in Chapel Hill against the Tar Heels 2 Saturdays ago.
Tim Priester and Tim O'Malley discuss in our first Irish Illustrated segment of the evening.
Tim Priester, the last time we saw Notre Dame play football, the offense looked pretty good, but I still wonder, is that because the offense was better or because North Carolina's defense is really bad?
Well, make no mistake, North Carolina's defense is really bad, but I think there's a definite improvement on the offensive side of the football for Notre Dame, and we saw it start against Cal. They didn't put up big numbers, but they ran the football, especially in the second half. So, I look at it, when you play a team that is inferior defensively or an inferior team, you can go one of two ways. You can either play down to their level or you can kick that team's butt. And that's what Notre Dame did against North Carolina.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that they also carved out some identities. Like you now know what Audric Estime is going to bring. He is going to be coming in with 15 carries, north-south at least. Chris Tyree running much tougher than we had ever seen him run before. And in fairness to Chris Tyree, he got the ball 9 total times in their first 2 games of that 0-2 start. And I think just getting a guy like Logan Diggs involved, because he's a weapon in the passing game, he can help out a little bit in the running game, it opens everything up for the rest of the offense. And other than Michael Mayer, they needed identities to be found. And I think that was the most important part for the North Carolina game. But certainly, you talk about Logan Diggs and how open he was on a couple of those pass plays. A more sound defense does not necessarily allow that to the Irish.
T.O., Drew Pine, still undefeated as a starting quarterback. What are his strengths right now, and what is he doing well?
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Drew Pine, but his number one strength right now is the running game and the offensive line, because I think that allows him to be an effective quarterback. He got the ball out quickly. He is not a guy that is going to necessarily beat you with his arm, but boy, in 2nd and 4, he can beat you with his arm because you're compromised as a defense. It comes back to if Notre Dame has success on first down, that is not only running, but Drew Pine throwing some balls on first down. They have a lot of weapons in that regard. They don't have many weapons on 3rd and 10. They have one weapon in 3rd and 10, I think, in Michael Mayer. And I think those situations will be rough for Drew Pine. When he stays ahead of the chains, he's a smart quarterback. He uses his weapons well. And he's also benefiting from the fact that the offensive line is playing much better in the last game and a half than it did for him in the first half game or for Tyler Buckner in those 2 games.
O'Malley and I laugh about all the time because we're asked about Drew Pine's strengths, and rarely does it come to mind that it's a physical strength. He's certainly capable. And as Tim said, in 2nd and 4, when they're not getting press coverage, he can do some good things. But I think most of what he does is his leadership ability. He knows the playbook inside and out. He understands the checks. He knows where the other 10 guys on the field need to be. So most of it is cerebral. But I do think that he can be. I think I might have underestimated how good he can be in terms of accuracy throwing the football. Now, a lot will depend upon the kind of coverage an opponent gives. Now, BYU will press a little bit more at the line of scrimmage than North Carolina, and North Carolina can't do that. So I think he can take advantage of that. But most of the time when we talk about Drew Pine's strengths, you don't point to the physical skills first and foremost.
And you can subscribe to Irish Illustrated. It is the #1 source for Notre Dame sports online. Just head to irishillustrated.com and click on Join to find the best plan for you. Up next, if you want to play good, you've got to look good too, right? The Irish and the Cougars bringing out all the drip this weekend in Vegas. More on the 11th Shamrock Series game on the other side of the break. Yes, I said drip. Don't go anywhere.
interception, Drew. White with blockers. White cuts it up. White to the end zone. Touchdown, Fighting Irish. 47 yards. I think Marcus Freeman knows what he's doing.
And I think the Irish know what they're doing in the Shamrock Series. The Shamrock Series has been very kind to Notre Dame since it was first introduced to the game in 2009. The Irish have gone a perfect 10-0 against the teams they play, including that thumping against Wisconsin at Soldier Field last year, 41-13. That has been the theme for most of the games Notre Dame has played in this series, with only 2 games coming down to the wire. 2013 against Arizona State at Jerry World, 2015 against Boston College at Fenway Park. Notre Dame won by 3 in both of those games. After this year's game in Vegas, the Irish will play next year's Shamrock Series contest in Dublin, Ireland against Navy. And in 2026, they'll face off against Wisconsin again at Lambeau Field, the home of the Green Bay Packers. But shifting back to tonight's game, a special game calls for special jerseys.
That's right, and with more on that, we send things back to Vegas with Matt Loch.
Well, flashy new uniforms in a flashy new city, and Notre Dame unveiling them in a flashy new way, sending Marcus Freeman, Michael Mayer, and Isaiah Foskey right here to Las Vegas to film a Hangover parody video to debut the new uniforms. And of course, they look fantastic. The Irish wearing all white today with some gold trim on their uniform as well, and some odes to the classic Notre Dame, including the golden dome on their pectoral and the shamrock on their sleeve, and of course, keeping the classic golden helmets. Now, Marcus Freeman talked about how exciting it is for his players, and if they come out with a little bit more swagger out of the locker room for warm-ups wearing something fresh and new.
As a player, I never had a chance to wear any other jersey than our normal home and away, but I think it's something that players nowadays, our young guys love it. They love to wear something new, something different, and our kids love to wear the green jersey they wore a couple weeks ago. I don't think it truly affects the way they play, but you know what? If they look good and they feel good, I'm all for it. So anything to keep these guys confident, man, if it's a new jersey, for them to feel good about playing this game, I'm all for it.
And of course, Notre Dame changing the game for uniform unveilings because, of course, BYU had to come out with their own video. They went with the Vegas Fight Night angle, recruiting the help of a UFC fighter and a Vegas magician to help turn their royal blue uniforms into all blacks with some blue trim. Now, the best part of BYU's uniforms are the helmets, the blue to black gradient. BYU talked about wearing their new uniforms for this special game.
I mean, for me personally, I'm a guy that wore the bib, so what does it matter, guys? For me, it's like I'll wear whatever as long as I get to play. But I understand that the excitement and the energy, and I really appreciate the innovation and the creativity that our people have here in the administration and with everything that's involved with our program and our sport. So that's a lot of fun, and I thought it was pretty cool to reveal, and I'm glad we did it on Friday to the team, and then did it for the rest of the public now, because now you just get it out of the way, and now we focus on playing football.
So we know the players on the field are going to be looking good. The question that remains to be seen, will the product on the field match? Well, we're less than an hour from finding out the answer to that question. So for now, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. And speaking of uniforms, the Irish doing something pretty cool with their cleats.
That's right, Chuck. Notre Dame is teaming up with Under Armour to raise money for 4 local charities based right here in South Bend. They are the Boys and Girls Club of St. Joseph County, the YMCA of Greater Michiana, Cultivate Food Rescue, and the South Bend Center for the Homeless. Now, the team will rock the hand-painted cleats for their home game against UNLV on October 22nd before auctioning them off.
Well, there's just 30 minutes to go before kickoff between the Irish and the Cougars. What are some of the bigger storylines that we're following ahead of the action? Drew and I'll dive right in just over 2 minutes.
Check, 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 check. Can you hear me? Check, check. Hello? Hello? Jordan Gould, can you hear me? I mean, it's all inside the stadium in the depths.
Live from the WNDU Studios and Las Vegas, Nevada, this is 16 News Now's Countdown to Kickoff.
Notre Dame is hoping to light up BYU like the Vegas Strip tonight, but the 16th ranked Cougars want to win over the Irish to bolster their case that they belong in the New Year's Six conversation. Let's open the second half of the countdown with some quick hits. We start with what's been the catalyst for getting this offense revved up, and that is the ground game. How do you build the confidence of Drew Pine and the coaching staff? It starts with that three-headed monster at running back. Audric Estime, Logan Diggs, and Chris Tyree accomplished something no Irish trio has done since 1987. Gain over 100 total scrimmage yards in the same game, doing so 2 weeks ago against UNC. Now, Marcus Freeman says the team's success in the rushing attack starts with the big hosses up front.
It's great to see. I think it's a testament to our offensive line. It starts with them. And I don't care what running back you have back there. If your offensive line isn't executing, blocking to the way it has to, nobody's going to be able to run the ball. So our offensive line continues to get better and better and better, which is really helping out our run game.
The game we just had is definitely for sure a confidence booster. I felt great for all of us because just all the hard work we put in finally got to pay off and show, and we got to show the abilities that we have. So I feel like that's definitely a big confidence booster and a game that we're definitely going to build off of.
And after starting out of the gate slow on offense, it appears the Irish have gotten back on track, starting with that run game Chuck just talked about. Now, after ranking near the bottom in all of college football on scoring offense the first 2 weeks, the Irish look like they've found their footing since the second half of that Cal game, scoring 62 points over their last 6 quarters. One thing the offense has going for them, momentum. But don't let a season-high 45 points against the Tar Heels fool you. Offensive coordinator Tommy Rees says this unit still has room to grow.
Anytime you have success, you can build off of it. So momentum's a real thing, rhythm's a real thing. But again, like the success, like we don't want success to mask our need to improve, right? And so like that's what we're all after is like we had success on offense, but that doesn't guarantee that the next time we play we're gonna have success. So we gotta strip things back down to why did we have this? And again, it's individuals doing the little things over and over again.
A surprising development this week, senior defensive lineman Jacob Lacey has decided to throw his name into the transfer portal, foregoing the remainder of this season with the Irish. Lacey has appeared in games in every season since stepping on campus in 2019. And what's more shocking, he was coming off a great game against Cal the last time the Irish played at home. He had a career-best 2 sacks, 5 tackles. Lacey posted on Twitter saying, "With lots and lots of prayer, thought, and sorrow, I've decided to redshirt and enter the transfer portal." The decision means Lacey will have 2 full seasons of eligibility left wherever he chooses to play next.
He's no longer part of the team. He'll look to transfer probably at the end of the season after the semester's over. Lacey was a great player. Lacey did a lot of great things for us, but it's a deep position, and he made a decision that ultimately he felt was best for him, and we respect it. We love Jacob. I think you'll see Chris Smith playing a little bit more, who again, it's just a position that's extremely deep, and the deepest to tackle position right now is one of the deepest positions we have on our team.
Now, Notre Dame will be without one of their team captains for the start of the game against BYU, senior linebacker J.D. Bertrand. Bertrand was ejected for this hit in the fourth quarter against North Carolina tight end Bryson Nesbitt. You be the judge of the call. It marks the second straight game in which Bertrand has been called for a targeting penalty. The other coming near the end of the game at a crucial time against Cal, wiping away a game-sealing interception at the time the penalty was called. Marcus Freeman was asked about his appeal on Bertrand's latest targeting call. Here's how he responded.
Said that in their opinion, that was a targeting penalty, and they denied our appeal, and he'll be out for the first half of this game.
So actually hitting with the face mask is not legal.
Yeah, I'll save my opinion. But yeah, we felt like we had a strong appeal, and it was denied.
And it's a shame because the Irish could use all hands on deck. This is a pretty good BYU offense, especially in the passing game. Quarterback Jaron Hall has already thrown for 1,438 yards and 12 touchdowns with just one interception. He spread it around well with 4 receivers having at least 15 catches, and 2 of his better receivers, Gunnar Romney and Puka Nacua, are both healthy again, both expected to go tonight. And while the Cougars' defense has had some issues, allowing at least 20 points in every game, the Irish know they have their hands full tonight with the best opponent they've played in a month.
You don't got to watch a lot of the film to realize the challenge we have. This is a talented football team that's 4-1, plays extremely hard. They're a veteran football team, and not just with age, but with experience of playing the game. And we got our work cut out for us.
They got experienced offensive line. They got guys coming back. I think they're like all 25 or 26 years old. So it'll be a good challenge for us up front. Guys that know their technique, and they'll come out with great effort. So for us, it's just about matching that and doing what we can every play.
Now, while tonight's game between BYU and Notre Dame is part of the Shamrock Series, you really could call it the Independence Bowl if you wanted to as well. The Cougars will say so long to their independent status starting next season when they join the Big 12 Conference along with Houston, UCF, and Cincinnati. Now, it's the first time Notre Dame will play a fellow independent since 2016 when they played Army in that year's Shamrock Series game in the Alamo Dome. BYU head coach Kalani Sitake says he's watched the Irish from afar this year, and despite their slow start, they'll be refreshed and ready to go against his team.
They've gone through some adversity, and they seem to get things back on track now. So we're looking forward to a great matchup with them. I like the underdog mentality all the time. So no matter what the situation is, I mean, we know that we're going against a great team. Notre Dame hasn't played their best football yet, and you can see the talent, you can see the phases and the flashes of great players and great scheme and great coaching, but we haven't played our best either.
And the rest that comes from a bye week appears to have done some good as we take a look at this week's Irish injury report. After the Carolina game, we learned that number 2 tight end Kevin Bauman is out for the season with a torn ACL in his left knee. Freshman Eli Raridan will take his spot on the depth chart. But there is good news. The Irish are getting 2 veteran members of the secondary back for this game. Ramon Henderson has recovered from the ankle problem that sidelined him against North Carolina. And DJ Brown has been battling a bad back, but after a good week of practice, he should be ready to go for tonight. Health will not be an issue for the Irish, but what about distractions? Matt will tell us how the Irish are handling being in the city of bright lights. And it's time for a second Chrisman custom painting trivia question of the evening. Who was the quarterback the last time the Irish beat BYU? Think about it. You'll get the answer in 2 minutes.
I got you. You got me? Yeah, Mike Check standing outside Allegiant Stadium, getting ready to give my X Factor keys to the game and my final score predictions. It is nice inside of that stadium.
Here is your Crispin Custom Painting trivia answer.
With the crowd chanting his first name as the clock ran out, current Irish offensive coordinator Tommy Rees ended his tumultuous Notre Dame quarterback career with a win over the Cougars on Senior Day in 2013. Rees, who was booed at times during his Notre Dame career, brought cheers with an early 61-yard strike to DeVaris Daniels. On the day, Rees would throw for 235 yards as the Irish downed BYU 23-13 on the way to the Pinstripe Bowl in a win over Rutgers. Drew, I'm going to go out on a big limb here and say Las Vegas, Nevada has a little bit more of a night scene than South Bend, Indiana. No disrespect to our friends down at the Four Winds Casino.
I think that's a safe bet, Chuck. So how have the Irish been able to avoid distractions and focus on the game at hand? We turn things over to Matt Loch with more.
Well, Las Vegas is a home away from home for Notre Dame this weekend, but this home game comes with a little bit more distractions than just a regular Saturday afternoon in South Bend. And it's so easy to get caught up in all of that. The stadium is just across the freeway from the Las Vegas Strip, and once you're there, there's things to look at everywhere. Even I had to take some time just to walk around and maybe do some gambling myself. But the Irish don't have time for any of that fun. This is a business trip. Marcus Freeman talked about avoiding the distractions in a city that is one big distraction.
We're not going to get out there in time to experience any of the distractions that I think Las Vegas can present. We're going to get there and be very strategic on what we do. We have to remember that our bodies are used to Eastern Standard Time, so we're going to try to get them to bed at a decent hour and wake them up at a decent hour to get us ready for the game on Saturday. They got the head coach. I'll be doing bed check at 8:30 Pacific time on Friday night, so I'm not too concerned.
Well, the Notre Dame fans who have descended upon Las Vegas have now descended upon Allegiant Stadium. This is FanFest here in Las Vegas, and Notre Dame fans from all over the country are here. I talked to some fans from California, some fans from here in Las Vegas, and some fans from Indiana as well, who made the trip down here. There's a ton of stuff to do, stuff for the kids, get something to eat, get a drink, hang out before the game, and the fans are fired up. So why, of all games to come to, why Las Vegas?
Because we're going to see Zion National Park right after this, and we figured this is a good way to start a vacation.
Yeah. Can't tell you how many Go Irish we had all weekend. Yeah. Notre Dame, no matter where we go, all over the whole U.S., baby, it's always going to be Irish, always going to be green. Notre Dame all the way.
Well, the distractions are nearly over as we are getting closer and closer to kickoff right here at Allegiant Stadium. We hear from you one more time with my keys to the game and X Factors. So for now, back to you guys.
It has been an action-packed week in Sin City as the Notre Dame faithful have taken over the Las Vegas Strip. On Thursday, the iconic Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign turned green And there to welcome fans, not a pot of gold, but a leprechaun instead. And yesterday, the Notre Dame Drumline put on a show, rivaling anyone you could see on the Strip outside of the New York Hotel and Casino, to go along with the Viva Los Irish party held at the venue as well. This morning, Marcus Freeman taking the team's game day mass on the road from the Basilica of the Sacred Heart for a private service, and Father Jenkins leading a public university mass at the Shrine of the Most Holy Redeemer, not far from Allegiant Stadium. After the break, we check back in with the Tims of Irish Illustrated, find out what Russell Wilson and Miles Davis have to do with the game between the Cougars and the Irish. Kickoff just 15 minutes away. Back inside the countdown, just under 15 minutes away from kickoff right here on WNDU. Time to reveal how fans voted in this week's Loch Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll at WNDU.com. This week we asked Irish fans, where would you like to see the Shamrock Series game played in the future? Just 12% say they want to see the game played in our nation's capital. 26% want to take a trip to Hawaii to watch the Irish. 23% want to move the game close to the Vatican. And 39% need to come up with their own pregame show because they don't like any of our ideas. As always, thanks for participating in this week's Loch Monday Auto Group Irish fan poll. Make sure to continue watching our coverage for more fan polls like this one all season long. After back-to-back seasons with double-digit wins, Kalani Sitake has made BYU into a force to be reckoned with.
That's right, Chuck. The Cougars have once again gotten off to a nice start this season, winning 4 of their first 5 games. That's where we pick up the discussion in our second Irish Illustrated report.
BYU is 25-5 in their last 30 games. T.O., what makes them so good?
Yeah, I think this team, the 2020 team, I think was the best version of that 25-5. Now they went into that. They were 10-0, and they kind of asked to play Coastal Carolina, the other undefeated team, kind of proving you don't need to schedule 25 years out in college football anymore. Those two got together trying to get in the playoff. That was a legitimate top 5 offense, top 5 defense. That was a powerful independent team. Now, were they better than playoff teams? I don't think so, but I think you can really see in 2021, Hall really comes into his own. I think it's more offense driven this year. I think their defense is more vulnerable than it was 2 years ago. So 25-5 is a great record for Brigham Young. It's a great record for anybody not named Alabama or Georgia. But I think the best part of that 25-5 was a couple years ago.
I would agree, Tim, that, it's an old physical team. They're old by nature because of the mission that they go on, but they are a very physical team. But, I think it starts with I think Kalani Sitake's a really good fit for their program. He's now in his 7th year. Their offensive coordinator has been a coordinator for 10 years in his coaching career, and their D coordinator has been there for 7 years. They're physical. They're a physical team. We're going to see that. They're probably lacking a little bit of speed, which is hopefully where Notre Dame has the advantage. But the other thing is Jaron Hall's a really, really good quarterback. He's very accurate. There's been comparisons in terms of style to Russell Wilson. I would concur with that, but he's very good. He's got a good group of receivers. They're looking for a running back. They may have found one, although he's banged up a little bit. Freshman Miles Davis of football fame, not Jazz fame. So they've got some things going for them.
I'd rather listen to the Miles Davis from Jazz fame, but nevertheless, O'Malley, I don't dispute anything you guys said, but I also watched that Utah State game, and I wasn't all that impressed with BYU, particularly in the first half. There are weaknesses.
Sure. I mean, I think they're vulnerable to the run. I think Notre Dame will run the ball on BYU. Now, I don't know if I'd have said that before watching Utah State and Oregon play them. I would not have said it after the Baylor game. So we always think the last 7 days are the 7 days that define everything, and that's probably not the case. But I was surprised that Brigham Young didn't come out after kind of lackluster against Wyoming, after losing previously to Oregon and looking slow, that they didn't just put one on Utah State. That was a little surprising to me. I think Notre Dame can run the ball, and if Notre Dame can stay on the field in third down, it can be a long day for BYU's defense, especially going the fourth quarter when it becomes the Audric Estime show. That is Notre Dame's path to victory, because I think Tim's going to talk about it. I think their cornerbacks can outplay Notre Dame's wide receivers. So I do think running the ball and staying on the field in third down is crucial in this one.
Yeah, running the football, I do think that Notre Dame can have success running it against them. They have BYU has struggled defending the perimeter running game, and Notre Dame has some running backs that can take advantage of that. And really, as well as Jaron Hall has played, they have been under 400 yards total offense 3 of the last 4 games. So they're probably not as dominant as I expected them to be at this point, but they're going to be psyched to play Notre Dame. Jaron Hall will be on top of his game with his receivers. Now, they weren't very impressive in the first half against Utah State, but they were in the second half when they had to be, especially offensively.
Friends, you can subscribe to Irish Illustrated. It's the #1 source for Notre Dame sports online. Head to irishillustrated.com. Click on join and find the best plan for you. We are running out of time on the countdown, which means it's almost time for kickoff between BYU and Notre Dame in the 11th edition of the Shamrock Series. We'll break down our keys to the game back in 2 minutes.
I got you.
It's time for our keys to the game, brought to you by Dairy Queen. Happy tastes good.
I've tasted Dairy Queen. I've tasted victory. Very similar.
Yeah, both leave a good taste in your mouth. But who is the player that could be the X factor in making that victory happen? That's what we need to discuss. We'll start in Vegas with Matt Loch. Matt, who you got?
Well, I'm going to take Chris Smith, and I actually chose him before the departure of Jake Lacey. He is a great player, an experienced player as a grad transfer, but still looking for his first sack as a member of the Irish. Today would be a big game to get that.
All right, very good, Matt. The Irish secondary somehow went the entire month of September without getting an interception. That doesn't mean that they played poorly. They have faced some really good quarterbacks and receivers, and they face another solid passing offense tonight. So Tariq Bracy, it's time to step up. BYU's best receiver, Puka Nacua, returns from injury. You have to figure Bracy has to win that matchup to help the Irish. And I just get the sense the Irish corner is due to get that coveted first pick of the season. Jaron Hall has only thrown one all year. Maybe number 2 comes tonight.
I understand, Chuck. For my X Factor, give me one of the heads that three-headed monster at running back features, Audric Estime. My preseason player to watch, had a true breakout game when this team last took the field. Really, the whole offense did. But I think Estime is the big dog in this very talented running back room, and it feels sort of like a natural progression coming from his freshman to sophomore year. I think they continue to let him work and get some good looks behind that strong offensive line.
All right, let's go keys to win. Matt Loch, what's the main thing the Irish have to do to win?
Well, they have to get into the backfield on the defensive side of the ball. They have not done great facing mobile quarterbacks. We saw it a few different times with Marshall. We saw it with Cal. They have to make sure they contain BYU's quarterback and make sure they get sacks as well.
I like the defensive key, Matt, but my key is going to come on the offensive side of the ball, and that's going to be to put on a show. It is Las Vegas after all, and with Drew Pine getting more comfortable, especially with the bye week, to kind of rework things and retool his game, I think we see them get frisky with a couple of play calls and get the ball to each of their talented playmakers.
My key to win is one of the oldest axioms of the sport: win the line of scrimmage. I think the Irish should be and have to be the more physical team tonight. We talked about what it does for Drew Pine and the offense when that running game gets going. Defensively on the line, they have to put pressure on Jaron Hall. They may not get sacks, but win the line of scrimmage and you win the game. So score prediction time. One of us got it exactly right for the Cal game. Can we do the same tonight? Matt, we'll start with you.
I think Notre Dame gets the win in this one, but I think it's scary and low scoring. I'm taking the Irish 24-21.
Drew, what you got?
I understand a little bit of his apprehension on the scoring, but I've got 38-27 Irish. Like I said, his offense is gelling, but they've also got to deal with an efficient, heady QB on the other end. Let's see some fireworks out west tonight.
I just don't think anything comes easily for this Irish team as much as we'd like it to be. So this may be like a night at Circus, but I think the Irish offense does its best Penn and Teller act, comes up with some magic, just enough to get a 31-24 win, leaving Las Vegas. I think we got all the puns in tonight for the victory over a top 20 team. So now we get ready to turn it over to Jack Collinsworth and Jason Garrett. They have NBC Sports coverage of the Irish and the Cougars tonight. And then Drew and I are back right after the game with highlights and reaction on 16 News Now. For Drew Sanders and Matt Loch, Chuck Freeby saying thanks for watching. Kickoff between Notre Dame and BYU is next.